Good evening. How are you? Well, I'm doing this sit and talk in part because earlier this evening, it's close to midnight now, um, Holly and I thought we needed an escape. There were some victories in the news today that we'll talk about, but we just needed to get away from it a little bit. And there's a terrific dinner theater, Toby's, and we went over there. And so I put on some duds that might be more appropriate. But let's talk about the real news. The real news, one of the stories, of course, is Epstein. We're back in town. The adjournment by Congress didn't kill the story. If anything, it allowed people to assemble opposition because there continued to be disclosures through the period of time when that was going to sanctify the grounds upon which Trump walked and make Epstein irrelevant. But that didn't happen, even though Trump said that today. The Epstein-Maxwell survivors, in fact, say they're compiling a list of associates of Epstein. They're doing their own research. And can we trust the FBI documents when we get 33% of the 100,000 documents that they looked at, and they've stalled and they're presenting them, and so there's a very high likelihood they're spoiled. So let's do this directly. Let's do it with the survivors. Let's do it with other methods of getting at what really happened here. In other words, do a real investigation. I hate the fact they keep talking about transparency. Was it Jack Webb who said, I want the truth and nothing but the truth, That's it. That's what we want. Give us the truth. Don't mess with it. Let's not call it transparency. Let's call it what it is. Give us the goods. You know what it says, and the fact that you're withholding it says there's a cover-up. It's not nuclear science. It's pretty clear. And the survivors at a press conference today demanded that Congress get to the truth and make the offending efforts accountable, that people should pay for what they did wrong. Marina, a survivor, struggles to come to grips with the abuse she suffered so many years ago. She talked about that today. Survivor Shante Davies said that Epstein bragged about his powerful friends and Trump was his biggest brag. These are the kinds of things that should prompt us to be concerned. And it goes to the basest failure of ordinary decency and humanity that a person would do this. It also happens to violate the law and is, it seems to me, grounds to throw a president out. Because a president who so lacks character that compromises every aspect of his life, and that he prefers criminals to citizens, that he prefers coercion to persuasion, that he prefers people suffering to helping them, that he prefers lies to the truth, that he prefers a monarchy to a shared existence in a republic and in a democracy and in a form of government that allows us to exercise a vote that has influence on what the policies of the country are. What does Trump say today? He says, those files are irrelevant. Well, that's not the view of even his own people. They are not comfortable that these are irrelevant. They believe they are relevant. And they also believe they were told something by Trump. And it's interesting that this is a lie that they pick up on and not the others. And I'm at a loss to understand it. There are so many other things that put their mind in a cognitive dissociation between this truth and that falsity, and people live with the existence of both these things at the same time. For example, Trump being the faux Christian that people put their hands on him and think so carefully of him when he's a demon. He's one of the most evil public persons in the whole planet. And day by day, he proves it. Now, for example, there is going to be a move among some members of Congress to release all the documents. And this resolution, Trump is doing everything he can to defeat. But here's the problem. If it passes the House, passes the Senate, and I'm not sure that either of those will happen, then the president may veto it. Now, would I press if I were a Democrat on the Hill? Absolutely. If I were a Republican, although that's hard for me to imagine, but I've known Republicans that I think would oppose Trump's misconduct and act upon it. There has been in historical terms, and over the last several days, there have been a number of Republicans that said they were going to vote for a resolution that forced the Trump people to disclose everything about Epstein. So now, what's happening to Trump? In the meantime, he's getting metaphorically punched in the face for each of his ill-born, ill-begotten issues. For example, the courts have decided that Trump lacks immigration war powers. It should have been obvious to everybody. It should have been obvious more quickly to the court, but there it is. How about Harvard? Courts have now said that Trump cannot withhold federal funding from Harvard. Very good. The Injustice Department wanted to break up Google. Nah, not going to happen. Court said that's not going to happen. And in the meantime, he has RFK Jr. is out there effectively killing people as one with a gun by the fact of disinformation, withholding services, limiting action, saying the stupidest things that are possible that either he believes and therefore has no business in government, or he knows better. He's saying this anyhow, and he should be removed for that reason. I might finish up with one thing I found amusing, and that is Eric Trump was in Japan, and he decided to go toe-to-toe, belly-to-belly, against a sumo wrestler, a Yokozuna. And it should surprise you, not at all, that a beer hug by the wrestler was enough to vanquish the great Eric Trump. What are we feeling about our country right now? What we're feeling increasingly, I think, and fairly, is that this man has no business in the White House, nor do any of these other criminals, whether it be economics, or it be domestic policy, whether it be foreign policy, whether it be military policy. And we're tempting a world war, a rearrangement of the powers on earth. And we see the most terrifying aspect of this development is the vacuum we have here that I believe China and Korea and Russia think that they can fill with their own schemes. Is NATO enough? Is EU enough? Does Trump care to come to terms with the terrible circumstances he's created? It's more as if he is an agent for the forces that have opposed us. That is to say that it's not just Putin. It appears that he's prepared around the world to make friends with and to support different kinds of, monarchists, tyrants. And that should not be the definition of any government on the planet, given how fragile the planet is and how we become accustomed to the fact that our country and the world is at risk, and we're just playing a fiddle and not doing anything about it. So Holly and I recommend that you find some ways to do something sane that is fun so that you can come back and do what you do by work or in retirement, but also how you fight and resist this terrible regime under Trump. And we have to move forward and help the courts and help the people who are besieged by these coercive techniques and the deprivation of their rights and liberties. So that's what I have this evening. Sorry it's short, but there were a couple of things happening today I wanted to talk about, and I think they were the impetus for Holly and I having a quote, night on a town on a school night. But I'd worked hard during the day, and it just made sense at the time. So I say good evening to you, or whenever you may see this, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.